Hi, welcome to Threats and Vulnerabilities, HSEM 642. I'm Roger Neville. There's my email address and my office phone number if you need to call me or write me. All right, so let's talk about how we're going to run the class. So review the reading and content on Blackboard, and it's in various places on Blackboard. On slides, files, it's in, so you're going to have to look around to see assignments for the tests and the research paper and that sort of thing. So you should look to make sure you've done the reading. I think the reading assignments is a separate tab that shows basically week by week what we're covering, although the discussions won't exactly sync up with that. That's more or less the order we're going to do things. You have to understand new material, so that means both new to the class and new to you as a student. So if there's something you don't understand, ask a question, and that's the third point about before you write the discussion, make sure you understand what you're writing about, or write in there that you don't know, you think it means this, that sort of thing, and we can have a dialogue. So we can do a dialogue either in the discussion board, or you can send me an email, or you can call me, or you can set up a visit if you're in the Fairbanks area. All right, important first steps. We're going to do introductions in a second. The discussion board, so it's on Blackboard. There are discussion board questions. There are prompts that you have to respond to, and then you have to make comments either on what other students have posted or on feedback that I give you. There's the term paper or project. So everybody has to do a term paper to get a grade for that. It's in the syllabus how many points a term paper is worth. So we can have that discussion about what topic you're going to choose, what you're going to write about. We can either do it in email, or you can call me, whatever makes sense. But I have to approve the topic. There usually hasn't been a problem, but occasionally somebody will come up with a topic that there simply isn't any data to research on. It's an interesting question, but there's no data, so it would be hard to do a research paper if there's nothing you can find on it, as an example. So everyone will have to do a term paper. I think you're used to that in your undergraduate days. This is now graduate. There's a link to the writing lab that's available at UAF. But you probably know how to write a paper. Same thing you have to do citations. You can't plagiarize, stuff like that. It's in the syllabus. Contacting me, the instructor, it's preferable if you do email, but you can call me if you have to, or if you want to discuss, you're better at talking than writing, that sort of thing. All right, so that's on the first night. Let's do introductions now. If you have any questions on this, by the way, I'm going pretty fast, but if you have any questions, don't hesitate to send me an email or call me. All right, so I have about 40 years of experience as a practitioner. So I've been a consultant. I've done a lot of different things. I've implemented projects. I've done audits in organizations. I've done forensic analysis and collection. I've testified in courts. I have a lot of security and technology experience. So there's pretty much not anything in security that I don't know about, or in fact, even in technology. So in this class, you'll get a lot of just in time, right? There'll be physics, math, there'll be stuff that we'll talk about technology-wise, because it'll fit with a security question that we're having. So for example, the vulnerability in Intel processors has to do with guessing where the next instruction will be and then exploiting that. So there's an example of that has to do with chip design. So integrated circuit, for those that don't know what a chip is, integrated circuit. All right, so contacting me, we talked about email or phone. So I did a little introduction. There's also an introduction on Blackboard, so you can take a look at that. For your intro, first, graduate students, where do you work? Where have you worked? What have you found interesting? what are your goals for the class, and then what interests you in terms of the term paper. So you may or may not know that, what you want to talk about or what interests you. But if you do, then go ahead and put it in the term project. Okay. And so for the final slide in this recording, we'll just talk about this drawing so you see how it all fits. I'm an old school engineer, so I have to have a drawing. If you can reduce it to a drawing, you can explain it, you can understand it. So here's a drawing that shows the full life cycle of security. So it's in the book. This drawing is in the book. You may have seen this drawing. I've been using this drawing for, 30 or 40 years because it's timeless. In fact, you'll find security is actually timeless. I use older books because they're perfectly adequate. Not a whole lot changes in security. And that'll be the first question to you. What has actually changed that makes security more important now? And I won't answer that. I'll let you ponder on that. But something has changed, clearly. But it's not security. Something else has changed. All right, so you can see this life cycle. Executives impose a policy from which you get controls. They define control objectives. So a control objective is, I don't want any viruses. A control is, I run antivirus software. And they assign value to assets. You can see that. We'll talk about asset valuation. We'll talk about controls and control objectives as the class goes by, and we'll mention security policy, and we don't do a whole lot in threats and vulnerabilities on security policy. But then you see on the left-hand side in the middle, threat agents perform attacks against vulnerabilities. So controls mitigate vulnerabilities, attacks go against vulnerabilities. And that increases the risk. This is an important thing. Risk is not the same as threat. Can you see that from the drawing or from my explanation? Risk is the risk of bad things happening. Threat is the Chinese or the Russians or criminals or vulnerabilities in the Windows operating system, for example, or something. And that increases the risk to assets, right? Something bad will happen to an asset. And then, of course, you do verification methods like audit to produce evidence that you have defense in depth. And that protects assets. And we'll talk about a number of these factors as the class goes by. But I wanted to introduce that drawing to show that, in fact, security is a closed loop, and you can define all the things in security on this drawing. Okay, so that's been a pretty fast introduction. If you have any questions, don't be afraid either to write me or put the question in the discussion board or call me, and I've given the contact information. All right, thanks.